Welcome to the Today in History channel. In today's video we will talk about the day, April 27, 1848, abolition of slavery in France. The slave trade was the forced deportation of the African population to use it as slave labor, mainly in the colonies of America, carried out between the 16th and 19th centuries by authorities and individuals from Portugal, England, Spain and France. In the process, about 11 million people were taken from one continent to another. In France, there was a particularity in the slave trade, alien to the rest of European metropolises, the so-called Black Code, a law promulgated by Louis XIV that regulated the purchase, sale, and, exceptionally, the liberation of slaves. It was a system that stood out perfectly for carrying out the slave trade and slavery in general. In 1764, the French philosopher Jean-Jacques Rousseau, in the work Du Social Contract, had already declared that man was born free, even though he affirmed that everywhere he is chained. Much of his writings inspired the revolution in France and North America, which began to regard individual freedom as a social right, no longer as a gift bestowed by the king. Rousseau's ideas encouraged some to fight on behalf of those who could not defend themselves. Politicians, clergy and sensitive citizens began to reflect and see how they could change the situation of slaves. However, they were not very successful because of the economic interests that slavery generated. The practice of slavery had already been censored on February 4, 1794, in the National Convention, after the French Revolution, and because of the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, an idea that extended to all French overseas colonies. In fact, in 1791, the French National Assembly, in Paris, even granted the right to vote to slaves from the colony of São Domingos, in present-day Haiti. Plantation owners objected, which led to the rebellion of about 100,000 slaves. Many landowners who owned slaves were murdered and numerous coffee and sugar plantations were destroyed and set on fire. Napoleon Bonaparte sent troops to the island, which triggered a long civil war led by a former slave, Toussaint Louverture, who even declared himself ruler of Haiti in 1801. After ending the revolt on the island of São Domingos, Napoleon re-established slavery in May 20, 1802, thus contributing to favor the slave trade in colonial times. Victor Schoucher, a French politician with a bourgeois family and ardent anti-slavery, published articles and works that denounced oppression, and joined the society in favor of the abolition of slavery. In 1848, he was appointed Under-Secretary of State for the Navy and Overseas. As chairman of the Commission in favor of abolition, he was responsible for the decree on the abolition of slavery in France of April 27, 1848, which meant the end of slavery in that country and its colonies. Did you like the video? In the description you will find the blog link with the full article. Give an incentive by subscribing to the channel, liking, commenting, and sharing with your friends. Hugs. Until the next.